Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome back to World of Warships. Today's video is a video sent to me by Penguin, and he is playing in the Borg. Now the Borg is essentially the Bourgogne is essentially the pre-nerfed Alsace. Now the pre-nerfed Alsace was a very, very good ship. Everyone said they loved it when they'd played it. It's obviously since been nerfed, and then they put it back into the game as the Bourgogne. Now, Penguin loves his Borg, and this game is a game where he's going to show you why he loves his Borg. Now, the Borg is fast, like all French ships, and it has a very good speed boost if you run the module. It has that French speed, the French speed boost, and being able to run the module with it makes it an even better, faster ship as it is. It can't speed tank as much as the cruisers can, but it's still very effective at that maneuverability type of defense. It also has the reload booster that is common with main battery reload booster that is common with all French ships. Her weakness, though, one of them, other than the minimal armor on the ship, is the fact that she only has 15-inch guns. So she doesn't get the high penetrating 16-inch guns that the Republic gets. She's got these 15-inch guns that the rest of the line has, but as you can see, they do fire quite fast. Maybe not as quick as the Republic when it's full buffed and has all her modules in place, but still relatively fast. This daring at 12 kilometers away from a Borg, especially if it starts firing the reload booster, is not a very nice place to be for any destroyer. He does well, though, to anticipate the shot, and then, as everybody knows, the reload booster on French ships is not actually a reload booster, it's an enemy concealment booster. Because every time you hit it, you lose vision on everything that you're firing at. Now you can see here that even though he's been moving around a little bit, and not overly juking the ship around, he was still doing upwards of 35 knots with the speed boost on in a battleship. And this is why it is very difficult for people to deal with French battleships on the run. French battleships, if they get stuck, they will absolutely melt, because they have this, they've only got minimal armor, which means that the IFHE can absolutely wreck them. So if you come up against a Worcester, I did put a video up a while ago about my Henri, and my two Republics that I had with me just absolutely melted away. Now what you want to do with ships like the Borg and the Alsace and the Conqueror, those types of battleships, you want to play them like as if they are big cruisers. That's how you get the best out, and that's how you get maximum effect. Now we haven't done too much in the first 3.5, nearly 4 minutes of the game, but his presence out here on this flank is going to stop the enemy from being able to move down and crush his team, because this here on this flank, this is where a lot of ships come down. A lot of ships come down the 9-10 line in this map. So we're going to fire at the curve first. If you're going to shoot the curve first and it's not broadside, HE on German battleships is awesome. It just starts to pull them to pieces, rip the ship down, and people hate being shot at. And what else do people hate having if they're being shot at is fires. Nothing worse than fires. So because there's a lot of angled ships and we've only got 15-inch guns here, that's why we're firing the HE. It is so effective on the 15-inch guns just to pump out that HE as quick as you can, especially when you start using your reload booster. So hit the blue line here, and it can be helpful, but it can also be detrimental. It throws the aim off of enemy ships, and that's why a lot of people will use it. But I think that is more that Penguin just ran out of room there than he was actually trying to blue line. So if we have a look at the mini-map now, we've got the enemy have just flipped the C cap, they're about to take the A cap, and Penguin's team is doing what many teams do these days. They don't contest, they just back off, they see one ship in front of them, and that's, they stop going in. I can understand destroyers having a bit of trouble, especially when there's a radar cruiser around, or an aircraft carrier, and cruisers who are relatively soft, not being able to pushing and tank. But that's what your battleships are for. A lot of battleship players don't trade their health for their team. It's supposed to be a team game, but you are the team. That's what you've got to remember. So the problem with the Borg, though, is that it's not a battleship. It's a cruiser, and all French battleships have got to be thought of in that way. Just the same with the British battleships. You've got to think of them as big cruisers. So it gets the kill there, a good blind shot there to kill off the DD at its last known location, and that's what you want to do. If you can hit at last known locations, shoot blind, very nice shot. Double citadel there on the Worcester over the side there. Blind shooting into smoke and over islands is a great skill to have. I always talk about it in all my videos, making sure that you can do those things. You just practice them. You can either get a friend to help you practice them, or a clanmate if you're in a clan. If you're playing solo, you can always go into the training room and just set up bots that are able to smoke up and things like that, and once they smoke, then you start firing. The bot program usually smokes up once its engines hit or its rudders hit. Sometimes the DDs will smoke up if they are seen, and then what you can do is just start practicing firing at them. Really effective skill to have. It's used a lot, especially in competitive modes. If you can blind fire into a smoke, you can make someone really, really nervous. And when people get nervous, they start to panic. Now, Penguin puts in the chat here, don't follow me. He pings the Thunder and he says, don't follow me. The Borg can do these types of things, up the flank and down and around the map, like most French cruisers and destroyers and their battleships. Because they have the speed boost, they're able to relocate quite quickly. The Thunderer, though, on the other hand, doesn't have that. It is relatively slow, because it's essentially a 457 Conqueror without a superheal. Its role would be better suited to sit in a crossfire position, so that's where its main effectiveness comes from. It's like the Stalingrad. If you have a Stalingrad, you want to put yourself in positions where you're getting broadsides. That's where the Stalingrad is the most effective. Now, if you had a look at the lineups, if you saw the lineup at the start, there are some very good players on the enemy team. Now, IMAS are usually a Typhoon clan. There's players from Pants in there who are Hurricane clan, and PNN on the enemy team. They are also Hurricane clan, PNN. Both very good clans. And when you go through Penguin's team, he plays for Reeeeee. Reeeeee are a Hurricane clan, but then you have there's a division on there, an AEIOU, and I believe they're only about like high level Storm. So, and a lot of the rest of the players on Penguin's team not in the top clans and things like that. So it can get, this is one thing that gets difficult with the matchmaking. it doesn't always have balance. But we know that with wargaming, nothing's balanced, is it? I mean, have a look at the Kremlin, for example, and that's why you see like clan battles this season is full of Russian ships. You know, Moskva, Stalingrad, and Kremlin. Now, one thing that Penguin is an extremely good aircraft carrier player, and one thing that really grinds his gears is anybody attacking an aircraft carrier player. He admits there are bad aircraft carrier players, just as there are bad battleship players, just as there are bad cruiser players and bad destroyer players. But the thing is for the aircraft carrier to get killed where he got killed at J6, and this is why he defends him, is that the rest of the team wasn't up there being aggressive enough. You know, if you push hard enough or you hold the line well enough, your aircraft carrier shouldn't get killed, because you're not giving up that range on the aircraft carrier. If you're holding them back on their D line, on their C line, there's no way the aircraft carrier is going to get shot on the J line. So the enemy team is moved off the C cap. It's moved back up to the north, and it's heading over towards the western end of the map. So Penguin has relocated, and it's a good move, because a lot of people would actually keep going up the 9 and the 10 line, and they will get outnumbered and outgunned. But if you move back towards your team, then you can still have the effect that you need to split their team. So you can see the gaps between where their teams are. They've got a blob up there on the D8, D7 line, and then the rest of them over here towards the 4, 5, 6 line, but they're quite far apart when you look at, you know, the different squares on the map, or different grids on the map. The only one that's really away from the rest of the team is the enemy, is the Yamato. So, not the Yamato, sorry, the Kremlin, who is facing the Yamato. So once again, we're going to go with the HE. We're going to get fires. We're going to spread these fires out. I'm going to watch these guys DCP, and then you just get more fires on them as they go. So the team is down. We just got another kill, but I think the Yami's going to go down. Not yet, anyway. So the radar is up. Now the radar is there for information. Clearly by it's likely to be the Stalin or the Worcester, but because it's already gone out, I'd say it was the Worcester and the Stalin. He has made an absolutely dire error. If you want to sail broadside to any ship, let alone a Borg, the 15-inch guns allow you to penetrate broadside armor so much better than what 16-inch or 18-inch guns do. And the reason for that is that they don't over-penetrate as much. And so when a heavy cruiser like that wants to go broadside, there is only one thing that is going to happen. That one thing happened. He went down. Triple Citadel, Dev Strike. I love seeing those types of shots. So the team's losing more players, more ships. We're up the caps now. We've got 2 caps to 1, but we're still behind by over 300 odd points. So we need more kills. We need the Groz to come up, the Yami to come up. If the Yami doesn't die, then I apologise for saying that he died earlier, buddy. And now we have the Kurfürst. Now the Kurfürst, broadside Kurfürst versus a Borg is a win for the Borg as well, because yes, the Kurfürst has a lot of health, but the Kurfürst eats so many penetrations that it may as well not have any armor at all. This is why the Kurfürst, even though with its massive health pool, doesn't get into competitive play. As you can see, like Penguin's doing 12,000. 11,000 chunks on the side here. What you do is you don't aim for the waterline, you aim for the upper belt. So just that little bit of armor underneath the deck and above the the waterline plating, and what happens is when you punch through there with shells on German battleships, they just get absolutely destroyed. So that's where you want to target. So things are starting to look a little dire. I mean, it's been dire for a while, but 7 ships to 4 with a well over 300 points in the caps. If the enemy hold the caps or take one more cap, then it should be all over, but you never know with these games. It is World of Warships. The Shimmer, oh, I don't know what he was doing there, but to get spotted reversing broadside in a destroyer it's always going to end in death. So the secondaries start opening up. The Groz does really well, takes out the DD. So now what we have to do is turn bow in. The reason we're going to go bow in is we've got to avoid these torpedoes. Torpedoes are the biggest threat to any battleship, or any ship really, but now the Groz should be able to handle herself relatively well against aircraft carriers. She does have the defensive fire consumer. If you set her up as an AA destroyer, you're going to be alright. So what we're trying to do is get a reset over the island here on the broadside Borg, and we do 15,000 on him with a Confederate. Well done, Penguin, good game. And 3 resets in that, so that's always good. You know, we've got 1.2, 1.9 tanked. We're about to get a cap here. Oh, no cap. Not resets like that. 235,000 damage so far. The game is still, it's in the balance. If the Yami gets in quickly, and if we can get the hack down, because whenever someone sees a Reeeeee, or not just a Reeeeee, an aircraft carrier in general, the game plan goes out the window, and everyone just starts. It's like they lose their mind. Oh, I've got to kill it. You know, have you ever seen Finding Nemo, and the seagulls are like, you know, mate, you know, they're going on like that. That's how people are when an aircraft carrier comes up. It's ridiculous. So we're hydroed by what could be the Worcester or Kurfürst, and I'd say it's more the Kurfürst because of the last known position of both ships at Worcester and the Kurfürst, which means that you can't get around here in secret. And the more things you can do in secret, in stealth, in World of Warships, the more success you're going to have, because then you're going to be able to pop up on broadsides and kill enemy ships a lot easier, because that broadside armor is quite weak, unless of course you're playing in the Kremlin, and it's just don't get me started on the Kremlin. Anyway, we have a Republic now in front of us, so we're going to go for him. There's also the Kurfürst down the flank, so there's an opportunity here to get, oh, there's the Worcester, so it was the Worcester, to get a couple of kills. So what you want to do is take out the Worcester while staying bow on to the Republic, because then the Republic has to go straight through your nose armor, and firing through nose armor can be a lot more difficult, especially if you're angled properly, and that's what you want to aim at. So then the Kurfürst goes down to the Monitor, which is very good kill. We've got the aircraft carrier coming in. One good thing about having the speed boost on here and more guns in the Republic is that we're about to get on these broadsides. So we hit the broadside, 3 citadels, high caliber. The enemy Borg is nearly dead. So in a matter of seconds almost, we've brought the game back. The team has brought the game back. And then the Borg goes down. Unfortunately the hack comes in, hits Penguin, and he floods out. But the game has swung drastically now. It's still 2 caps to 1, but we're up by 1 ship and almost 200 points, or now there's over 200 points. So what the Yamato has to do now is angle properly. Remember, in the Yamato you have a very soft cheek under that frontal turret, secondary, in between the front and secondary turret. You need to angle correctly to be effective in the Yamato, and this is why the Yamato is not the best ship close up like this. But Penguin's talking in the chat, you know, You need to angle properly because he was showing that cheek. But once that cheek is protected, which it is now, the Yamato can go absolutely ham on that Kurfürst. Because the Kurfürst, as we said before, hasn't got very good armor. So the threat now to the Yamato is the CV coming in and bombing him. And we make it there just in time. So all I have to say to that game is well done, Penguin. Great game. Good carry fight by obviously yourself and the team. That game could have gone either way. Luckily, and it turned around, and that's what happens in World of Warships. If you don't give up, you can't give up at all. You have to fight right until the end, and you get the results. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. And stay safe out there.